And so anyway, so I reposted an interview that I did with the Mandingo sister on Facebook, and I'm getting some commentary from brother Christopher. And brother Christopher thinks that they try to rob us of our identities by telling us that we were not Africans. No, Christopher, we are not Africans, Christopher. There's no African anything. It's just the name of a landmass. Um, the fact that we live in foreign lands and the foreign ideal or idea of the world, their worldview, is the prevalent worldview in their societies. So the fact that our people have picked up the way that they view the world is the reason why you are viewing yourself that way. It's not reality. Reality is that on the continent that they call Africa, there was once three great empires in Western Africa: Ghana, Mali, Songhai. Hey, these were Mande people. The fact that you don't know this can be directly attributed to the process of alienation from your culture that the people underwent during the process that we now refer to as slavery. Um, the eradication of your identity, the fact that there was once great Mandingo empires. You don't know this. The fact that you grew up watching Africa on TV with Tarzan and Cheetah, you know that. The fact that Africa was petitioned in 1848 and carved up and made into the states that you now see, you know that. But you don't know prior to that. And prior to that was Mande Empire, Zulus, empires. You know Shaka Zulu? Shaka Zulu was not an African king. Shaka Zulu was king of Zulus. Okay? Now, at the same time, on the continent of Africa, you had different cultures. You know that, for instance, there were in the eastern horn of Africa, an Aksumite civilization. And these people were what we refer to as Jews. Okay? You know that there's an ancient Christian kingdom there. You see stone-hewn churches, Lalibela. You know that that culture is not the same culture that you see in West Africa, where you might have got your ass voodooed. You know, Obeah, they would have sacrificed your ass, right? Them Dahomey. My point is that there's difference. Mark it distinctly, absolutely, completely different cultures. All right? Do not fall for the trick that generic African, what that actually is, beloved, is we don't care enough about you to know about you. So we just generically refer to you in this manner. Okay? If it was anything respectful about it, you would care to know the culture that you're referencing. For instance, you'll hear people who don't know say African music, right? And they may be talking about Fela Kuti. Now that's Afrobeat, Nigerian, like influenced by us over here, you know, James Brown and stuff like that, right? And fused with the rhythms from there. So now that's one form of quote unquote African music, but that doesn't have anything to do with, I don't know, the music played by other nations, Dogon, Zulus, anybody. You understand? It's distinctly different. Now, what they tend to have in common, and what I refer to constantly, is the drum. Now I call it DNA. Drums, not Africa. The reason I call it drums, not Africa, is because DNA is the thing that connects us. Now, understand, I'm not telling you that we are not the same people. You see, if you're hearing that, you're not really paying attention. What I'm saying to you is that the people have their own names. Those names have history, culture to support them. Africa doesn't have that to support it. You will come to a point in time when the place wasn't referred to as Africa. Therefore, the people weren't Africans. You understand? The people have their own names. Now, it's one thing that I find extremely interesting is that brothers in the diaspora and sisters as well in the diaspora become indignant when you tell them that no, you have it wrong. You actually have a Eurocentric perspective of yourself. The reason you have a Eurocentric perspective of yourself is because you have a Eurocentric perspective of the world, courtesy of your environment. Now, I'm not telling you that you can't overcome this. I'm telling you that you have to be aware of it. Now, this applies equally to individuals who were born and raised on the continent of Africa, where they went to Europeanized schools or they went abroad to European countries. And when I say European, I use that the way that they use African, because I'm not referring to myself. I'm referring to them, and I'm not being respectful of them. I'm referring to them blanketly. Now, this is the way that they refer to us. Now, the only thing I'm trying to get across to you is that what you have to do is not refer to yourself the way that others do. You have to know yourself. Man, know thyself. Part of knowing yourself is knowing who you are. Part of knowing who you are, Italians will tell you they're Italian. They're not going to tell you they're European. The Greeks aren't going to tell you they're Aegean or they're Asiatic or they're European. You understand? The English aren't going to tell you, well, they might tell you they're not European because they get a little testy about being from them islands. You understand? But they'll tell you they're Anglo-Saxon. What I'm trying to get you to understand is the name of the place where they are might be separate from the name of the people who currently occupy that place. Places have been invaded, have been taken over, so that you have invaders there telling you what's what. Well, the invaders here telling you that you're African are telling you you're African because the invaders here know that you can't link that to anything. You can't link that to anything. That is non-specific. Now, the invaders here, when they went to take some of our ancestors back there, they went to take them where they got them from. Now, it is extremely interesting to me that they took them to Sierra Leone, the British, and Liberia, the Americans. They took them to where Mandingo populations were. You understand? Now, it's one thing for you to say, they robbed me of my identity. They robbed me of my name. They robbed me of my culture. But when they went to take your ass back, they took you right back to where I'm telling you came from. They took you back to Mandingos. Now, it is also extremely interesting to me that the areas where they took some of our ancestors back to remained in chaos, confusion, because some of our ancestors who were taken back were already tainted with that Eurocentric perspective, you know? And that Eurocentric perspective that continues to permeate the mentality of the ruling class of countless countries on the continent of Africa is the reason why you don't see a concept like Pan-Africanism come to fruition. Is the reason why you don't see borders being collapsed and large swaths of territory being united for a common good, because that's not what's occurring. You see, idealistically, you sit here in the diaspora and you fantasize and you romanticize about, damn,